You're listening to Radio SEGA, and this is the SEGA Lounge. Sit back, have a drink, and enjoy the conversation. Your hosts.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the SEGA Lounge on Radio SEGA. I'm Casey, I'll be your host this week, and we've got a great show for you guys tonight. So, if you've been, listening to past episodes of the SEGA Lounge, you probably heard our review of Crazy Taxi Gazillionaire, one of the newest mobile apps by SEGA. And it's a different kind of Crazy Taxi game. It's a clicker. This week on the SEGA Lounge, we have an interview with James Daniello of Demiurge Studios, the studio that developed Crazy Taxi Gazillionaire. And we also have Danny Russell from SEGA on the show as well. They will discuss a bit more about Crazy Taxi Gazillionaire, share some interesting details about the development of this title, and hopefully, some of your questions will be answered as well. Apart from that, we have awesome stuff. We have the news with Shadid. We have Memories of SEGA with A Winner Was You. This week focused on Gunstar Heroes, great Mega Drive game. So if you're curious about A Winner Was You's experience with that game, be sure to stick around until the end of the SEGA Lounge for yet another edition of Memories of SEGA. Don't forget to join us on Discord during the show, so radiose.ga/Discord. Join our Discord server and chat with other people listening in, or at Radio SEGA on Twitter. You can also mention us at Radio SEGA and let us know if you're listening, and let us know your thoughts on this week's episode of the SEGA Lounge. So without further ado, let's get into this week's news with our sweet soul brother, Shadid.
What year is it? I completely lost track of time when last week I completely forgot everything. Okay. New console? Well, okay. Cue the intro, I don't care. Cue the intro.
News Desk.
Hello there. I'm Shadid and welcome to the News Desk, where we look into what's new in the world and the community of SEGA. To start off, we'll talk about something that involves mobsters and services. Probably not in that context. Although we won't be getting Yakuza 6 in the West until early 2018, SEGA of Japan and the producer of the series, Toshihiro Nagoshi, are already planting the seeds for a new game announcement. According to Siliconera, Nagoshi explained in a recent SEGA Nama livestream that he'll be sharing news about a new Yakuza game in the next 2 months, and that people will hear about stuff that will make them happy. Well, wouldn't you know it, SEGA Forever is indeed a new console, if you consider your smartphone one. Late last week, SEGA revealed the SEGA Forever service, which consists on re-releasing most of the SEGA's console lineup, according to them even the Dreamcast, for free with in-app purchases. The games in the first wave of releases were Comic Zone, Altered Beast, Kid Chameleon, Phantasy Star 2, and the remake of Sonic 1, with more to come during the year. Although the release was very welcome, it has been tainted with some performance and emulation issues in certain devices. In a recent interview with Eurogamer, SEGA Networks' marketing officer Mike Hayes explained that they're looking into the matter, pinpointing cases of fragmentation when asked about older ports working previously on iDevices. Although owning an Android, I can honestly say the performance is subpar from what I've tried. But anyway, we're talking about the updates and rumors from previously announced and already released games. Valkyria Revolution is upon us. After a few delays, and it being in the Japanese market since January, the game finally got released 2 days ago for the American market, and tomorrow for the European market. Ahead of this, SEGA announced the lineup of free downloadable content that ranges from the release until the 18th of July, ranging from special Ragnite items to 4 scenario packs, Wondergond, the Circle of Five, the Princess and the Valkyria, and Maxim and the Remembrance. The game will be available for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and digitally for the PlayStation Vita. Endless Space 2 dropped a new update last week, featuring a new quest from a mysterious prisoner trapped in a neutron star. Dubbed the Stellar Prisoner Update, Amplitude is adding modding, performance, and AI improvements, and a neutron star arena. The update is available now. Creative Assembly is giving us a new look on Total Warhammer 2's campaign, releasing a new video detailing the stories within the land of Ulthuan and Lustria, and detailing the leaders of all 4 races in the game. As a reminder, Total Warhammer 2 is available on the 28th of September on Steam. And finally, we have some records to take care of in this week's extras. I don't think we covered this during E3, and after that live show, I hear that Shadow Guy did horribly, but Ad Games is releasing a new Sega Mega Drive console this fall, which will feature a 720p HD output, scanline filtering, a save, rewind, and pause features for each of the 85 games pre-installed, wireless consoles, and boasts a better stereo sound, and it being one of their best products yet. And, of course, I left the best for last. It will feature cartridge support for the first time in a while. Again, this console will be released this fall. Data discs, stop, please! I'm just a mere pawn with no vinyl player. Why am I saying this? Well, in the span of a week, Data Discs announced not 1, but 2 new vinyl releases. The first, in partnership with Sega, is the Sonic Mania soundtrack vinyl, which will be available in Sonic Blue, Classic Black, and limited edition versions. To celebrate this, Data Discs released a preview of a retouch to Diopolis Act 1, retouch from the original audio released since the 25th anniversary party on SoundCloud. Not only that, but they are also re-releasing Altered Beast's soundtrack in vinyl too. Like the Gunstar Heroes one, this is cut into 45 rotations per minute on a 400-gram vinyl, and pre-orders start tomorrow at 7 PM Western European Standard Time or 2 PM Eastern. The Sonic Mania soundtrack, though, will start pre-orders in mid-July. And that's it for this week's News Desk. I've been Chatted. You can follow me at DarkwinPT on Twitter, at Darkwin_ on Twitch, and you can follow Radio Sega on Twitter. See you all next week, folks.
News Desk.
That was Shattered with the week's news on Radio Sega's The Sega Lounge. Shattered will be back next week with, some more news bits to share on the world of Sega and Atlas. So that's it for the intro to this show. And now it's time to play some music. This week all of the songs were picked by James Daniello of Demiurge Studios, and he picked some awesome tracks, starting with a No-See remix by Waterboy. This is the Subtractive Dispatch mix of Chemical Plant Zone from Sonic 2 by Waterboy. I hope you enjoy, and we'll be right back with James Daniello and Danny Russell on the Sega Lounge.
SEGA Lounge on Radio Sega. Come on in and have a seat.
Alright, welcome back to the SEGA Lounge right here on Radio Sega. And this week we have very special guests on the show. So let's welcome Danny Russell. Hello, Danny.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
From SEGA of Europe. Welcome to the show. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
And so, Danny, you obviously are the community manager for the mobile side of things these days, right?
Yeah, it's kind of a complicated one. So it's, I'm part of SEGA Networks, which is based in San Francisco, but I work out of SEGA Europe. So I'm not exactly SEGA Europe. I'm technically SEGA Networks working in SEGA Europe, but yeah, it's complicated.
Okay.
But it's all fun.
It's Sega. It's Sega.
Yeah.
Okay, let's stick with that. And we also have James Daniello. Is that how you pronounce your last name?
That is very good. You did good.
Okay, yes. Senior engineer on Crazy Taxi Gazillionaire. Hello, James.
Hey, again.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the show. James and Danny are here to discuss Crazy Taxi Gazillionaire, obviously. So the newest entry in the Crazy Taxi series. So let's just first talk a bit about yourself, or ask you to talk a bit about yourself. James, would you like to start? So would you like to tell us a bit about your history with video games, your history as a gamer, and stuff like that?
Sure. I'm not exactly sure where to start. It's a very big question.
When did you start playing video games?
Sure. I started playing video games maybe when I was like 6 or 7. My cousin got me a Super Nintendo for Christmas, and it came with Super Mario World.
My God.
And I played that. Yeah, I played that nonstop. That blew my mind when I was like 7 or 8. Before that, I actually had, I'm remembering now, I had a regular Nintendo with Super Mario Bros. 3. So I guess that's when I started. I was playing on like a black and white CRT TV in like 1992, 1991, something like that. So my whole life, basically.
Yeah. Awesome. So you were basically a Nintendo kid growing up?
I had a Nintendo. I had a Super Nintendo, but I was really a video gamer. I think I avoided all the arguments on the playground about which was better, Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis. I just liked video games. I had a Sega Genesis, a Dreamcast growing up, a Sega Saturn, which I have some fond memories of. All across the board, PlayStation, Xbox. I've just been playing video games, just good video games, you know?
Yeah, awesome. That's the way to go, I think, yeah. Okay. What about you, Danny? By the way, since you're here, you'll be back on the show, right? To talk about something else, but...
Yes, there is plenty to talk about.
Yeah, there's plenty to talk about, but tell us a bit about yourself.
So I started playing video games. I mean, I think the first video game I ever had, if you can count it as one, was Donkey Kong Jr. on the Game & Watch. Like, it was its own little Game & Watch sort of thing.
Yeah.
But after that, I remember a family friend giving me what I later found out was a Korean Game Boy with 4 games. It was Super Mario Land, Tetris, Bill and Ted's Excellent Game Boy Adventure, the classic, and Nemesis, which is, I think that's the same as Gradius, right? Yeah,
Ooh.
I get those confused, Gradius and R-Type. So a bit of a mix, and yeah, I mainly played Game Boy for a while, but I think when I was about 9, I got my first Mega Drive, which was a Mega Drive 2 with Sonic 1 bundled in, and after that I just kind of bought all the Sonic games, and then went through, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast, that kind of thing, and eventually opened up to other different consoles as well. But yeah, I guess ever since first playing Sonic, I've always been a big Sega fan, even though it was the 50 hertz slowed down version of the music in the game.
Nothing wrong with that.
Still got through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had the easier version, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, never thought of that that way.
I couldn't beat it. I played Sonic 1, Sonic 2 Sonic and Knuckles a ton of times. I can never beat it. I gave up after a while. Too hard.
You just need the level select sheet. Fine.
Yeah.
That's not.
That's how you play video games.
Yeah.
You know, when I first, so I'm obviously from Europe as well, and when I first heard the 60 hertz, the American versions of the Sonic soundtracks, I was like, what's this? What kind of sorcery is this? This is so fast. This sucks. And then I just realized I was the one with the wrong version of the soundtrack. Yeah.
I've never heard the so there's 50 hertz versions of the music too, and I guess they play a bit slower.
Yeah.
It's like, I think it's like 17.5% slower.
Not sure if that much, but yeah, a bit. Yeah. Maybe it is. That.
I'll go find those on YouTube, and that'll be a really fascinating listen, because I know those songs intimately.
It wasn't, it wasn't for all games, but it was for a number of games, and I think Sonic was one of the worst offenders. And we had the 50 hertz borders as well, so at the top and the bottom, you have these ugly borders.
And that sucks, because Sonic's about speed, you know? You got less speed.
even then, it was a really, really fast game, so, you know, that's how fast Sonic is. Even with the 50 hertz version, it's really, really fast.
Does that mean you guys didn't have the blast processor? That's what that means, right?
No, we had it. We just had inferior screen technology. I mean, in theory, I think we could see more colors.
Okay.
Or something like that. It's high resolution. That's what it is.
There must be like some upside to this.
A higher resolution through some kind of interpolated frames or something. I can't remember exactly. But...
Okay, so that's our childhood in a nutshell as well. Okay, so Danny and Russell, so you're here to talk about Crazy Taxi Gazillionaire. So let me start by asking James. So you're part of Demiurge Studios, right?
That's correct.
Okay, so you guys have worked on a lot of projects in the past. Would you like to, for people not in the know, to talk a bit about Demiurge Studios? What you guys have been doing, other projects that you've worked on in the past and stuff?
Sure. So Demiurge Studios has been around for something like 15 years. I haven't been here for that entire duration. I've only been here for about 2. But we started as sort of a contract shop, so we would work for other people. We worked on some Aliens games. I think we worked on the Mass Effect port for PC, and we just kind of picked up work all just from anywhere for a long time. Eventually, we worked with Marvel to make Marvel Puzzle Quest, which was a pretty big hit.
Yeah.
And then I guess SEGA was expanding their sort of mobile networks. So I guess SEGA realized they wanted to get into sort of the mobile market, and that's when they acquired us, which was about 2 years ago. And I guess we've been, ever since, focusing solely on mobile, which we didn't do before that, and now working with SEGA to leverage sort of some of SEGA's IPs.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I was doing some research for the interview, and I realized you guys worked on, or the studio worked on a lot of PC ports and stuff. So stuff like Borderlands, Mass Effect, and so the mobile focus is something more recent, right?
Yeah, so one of the founders here, who was kind of instrumental in guiding us towards these interesting and creative projects and stuff, helped us get on the mobile bandwagon, I guess, kind of early. And Marvel Puzzle Quest proved to be a big success. And I guess SEGA saw that, and they saw, hey, look, these guys are in North America. I mean, maybe we want, companies in North America that can speak for and work for sort of an American and Western audience. And they saw that we were a good fit, so they, I guess, approached us.
Awesome. So, by the way, tell me about your history in the industry. So you've been working for Demiurge for the past, 2 years or something? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Was that your first gig, or did you start out somewhere else?
Sure. Before that, I worked 2.5 years in developing just mobile software for basically a company that would work with universities and hospitals to create sort of campus apps. I did that for 2.5 years. But what I wanted to do was video games. So while I worked there, I also took on some freelance video game gigs. And one of the things I did was I worked part-time to help a developer release Olsen on Steam, which is it's kind of a Stepmania kind of thing with original content or whatever. Okay. And I've been a professional and hobbyist, I guess, video game developer for like 15 years. So in my youth, I used to mess with game makers and make a lot of video games. And it was what made me want to go to school for computer science. But when I graduated, I guess I wasn't completely confident I was going to work for video games yet. So I want to get a little bit of experience before I apply it officially, I guess.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, but it's cool that you actually, were able to get into the industry that you wanted to work in. So that's great. Okay, so that's the obvious follow-up question for this is, what does a senior engineer do?
Sure. I think the title senior engineer just speaks for your experience and your ability. On our project, I mean, I guess at our company, we're not so big on titles. We kind of have small teams that are fluid, and we interchange people all the time. I guess the only title that matters, is lead engineer. On a couple of projects, we kind of have a team lead, which for the first, 3/4 of Crazy Taxi, somebody else was the lead engineer. After he rolled off being just a senior engineer, I sort of took the reins of the project, and I'm the only one kind of working on it now. Work to sort of push out fixes and stuff post-launch.
Oh, okay. Yeah, excellent. So, by the way, it's time to talk a bit about Crazy Taxi. So, were you familiar with the Crazy Taxi series before working on this, by the way?
Sure. I had it for Dreamcast. That's where I first played it, and I think that was like 1999 when it came out. I had Crazy Taxi and Crazy Taxi 2, but I spent most of my time playing Crazy Taxi 2. I think that's the one that had the Crazy Pyramid, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. The man's knowledgeable. Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And that was a lot of fun to me. I liked the regular arcade gameplay, but I felt I hit some limits. Like I couldn't get better and better and better. But I found I spent a lot of time on the Crazy Pyramid, like mastering those kind of puzzles. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think many of us did spend some time on the mini games, on all the games, on all the Crazy Taxi games. Yeah.
Yeah, and that was kind of something that I wish we had included in Crazy Taxi Gazillionaire, was maybe some references to the Crazy Pyramid or those kinds of things. So I think those were memorable to a lot of people.
Yeah. So you were quite familiar with Crazy Taxi. So and this might be a question that Danny, will probably better suited to answer. But why Crazy Taxi for this kind of game? Why is Crazy Taxi? Why do you guys think Crazy Taxi is a franchise or a series that fits this kind of gameplay on a mobile phone?
I think I can actually speak for this. And I think that's a good question, because I think a lot of people have. I guess the biggest risk, and we knew this going in, was that people who are loyal to Sega and to, I think, video games from our childhood, I guess, want to see often something that they're kind of familiar with. And so we knew, I think, one of the biggest risks was if we were going to deviate from the driving a taxi kind of gameplay, that people might not be so receptive to that. And I think that kind of we knew was one of the biggest challenges when we worked on Crazy Taxi. And I think that's kind of maybe part of the spirit of the question you're asking. But I think we were surprised. I think people were pretty receptive to the game we made, even though it wasn't sort of the original sort of format. I think something kind of important is mobile doesn't have the same kind of control scheme that a console has. So if we're going to be a mobile-focused sort of area of Sega's sort of game development, we have to create things that work for mobile. And I remember, I think SG&I was part of the original pitch for us to make Crazy Taxi Gazillionaire. I don't think it came completely from internally, and I think the way they pitched it originally actually got me kind of excited, which was they pitched it as Crazy Taxi Empire. And I think kind of when they said that, I was like, that could be kind of cool, And I think we have a lot of experience with mobile, and I think we have a lot of experience with kind of those RPG leveling sort of mechanics and stuff. So we figured we could take advantage of Demiurge's strengths, make something that's mobile focused, but still make something that people were kind of familiar and maybe excited to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's exactly how I would describe this. Crazy Taxi Empire. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a good way too. I think towards the end we wanted to. We weren't sure how we were going to market it, and the name actually came out in the last couple of weeks. That I think the marketing team in San Francisco was like, Crazy Taxi Gazillionaire should be the way we go. And like, that sounds pretty cool. Maybe Crazy Taxi Empire would appeal to some people, but I think they thought Gazillionaire was even more.
It's more Crazy Taxi-like, I think.
Yeah.
It fits.
Yeah.
It fits the Crazy Taxi universe and language, I think. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so this is basically a mobile clicker game, right? So you click through some of the the passengers, the customers, and take them places in the game, in-game locations. And so the decision to go with this one was, more based on it being a mobile game and not being able to recreate the kind of gameplay experience of the original games.
Yeah, it would have been a big risk for us to try to make a nice driving game that really recreated the Crazy Taxi experience. I mean, you could imagine going to the App Store and downloading driving games or first-person games or something, and your probably instinct tells you that they're probably not going to be very good. So that I think one risk would have been, let's try to make something that's true to the Crazy Taxi driving. But another risk would have been, let's try something completely different. And I think in the grand scheme, we went with let's try something completely different. And I think it paid off pretty well. Mm-hmm. I think the thing was, if we weren't going to make a driving game, the next big challenge was we had to capture the Crazy Taxi feel. The craziness and the quirkiness and all the characters.
Yeah.
And I think we did a good job. I think the community's been pretty responsive to that. I think they liked what we ultimately did.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think between like the artwork and the script and like the way everything's tied together, I think it's like I've seen a lot of people talking about how it like the artwork looks like some of the original characters like Axel and so on, they look like they've kind of aged as well, and they're still on like their old expired licenses and things like that. It's I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a good point. And that's what I was gonna mention next, because I think the biggest selling point of this game is actually it's really true to the original universe, Crazy Taxi universe. So the humor, the script, as you said, the characters. So was that something that you really spent a lot of time on? Did you guys actually have to? Did you consult with SEGA or something regarding this?
Yeah, I have. I think I have something to talk about here. I think we had a very small team for this, which I think was something we wanted to do. We wanted to try to keep the scope kind of small and make a small kind of project that we could be successful at. So we also had a small team. But I think in sort of having that, we realized everyone's going to kind of have to take a part in creating the Crazy Taxi universe. And so for this project, we did something we never did before, which was actually kind of cool, which is generally we work on like a 2-week cycle. We say, hey, in these 2 weeks, we're going to do this amount of stuff. And when that's done, we're going to figure out what we're going to do next and kind of keep iterating on a project like that. But we realized if we're going to be successful, we have to make this game crazy in a Crazy Taxi kind of way, We have to really get the spirit of it. So one of the things we did, which we never did before, which I thought was really cool, was we took one day out of every one of these 2-week cycles to just do whatever we wanted. We called it Crazy Friday. And so you'd have the engineers sort of making designs and gameplay stuff. And you'd have the artists messing with new ways to display stuff. And the only rules were that what we start on that day, we had to finish on that day. And we could go wild and create whatever we wanted. And I think in that way, we pulled creativity out of everybody, out of people that aren't necessarily always involved in the creative process when you make a video game. So we had some of the producers creating backstories for the characters, and we had some of the engineers creating gameplay stuff. And when you look at the game, you can see that you can still see it. I mean, having been on the project, I know which stuff came out of that. Stuff like the cars flying at the screen and shattering them came out of just an engineer wanting to make something on one of these crazy Fridays. The cash tornadoes and even the scratch tickets came out of that. So I think we knew that we had to sort of really get creative with this and really have a lot of fun with it. And one of the ways we enabled that was sort of deviating from our normal and maybe what people kind of imagine as being sort of a pretty stable and serious kind of development practice, and just go wild with it. And I think that was kind of how we tackled that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. It has to be crazy, right? To be Crazy Taxi, it has to be something crazy.
Yeah,
otherwise it's not Crazy
fun.
Taxi at all.
Wacky.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, indeed.
I think we did a good job.
I think so too. I think that the biggest praise people are giving this game is actually being so faithful to what we came to expect from a Crazy Taxi game. You know, it's really wacky and funny. There are also all those Sega Easter eggs as well.
Yeah.
The sponsors.
That also came out of us having a day to do sort of whatever we wanted. You know.
Okay, that's probably one of my favorite things in this game, and it's also interesting that you went with this before the ads come on the game, so it's nice. So was it intentional that this had to be like something that would come before the ads, so people wouldn't be as bummed to see ads in game? Or
it's actually more of sometimes we have to design around problems, and one of the big problems with integrating ads into your apps is they can be really unreliable. So we figured we kind of have to have this transitional screen, you know, in case anything goes wrong, and we can't show an ad or something. And we realized, hey, here's another opportunity to have a lot of fun with this.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good idea because you have some awesome Sega references there. Did they all come from your team, or?
Yeah, and we actually had a lot more. Some of them were kind of we had to pull back. Edgy. Some of them were edgy. Some of them were maybe too infringy, if that makes sense. And so we had to actually pull back some of them. There's a good couple in there that would have been great, but we couldn't get to.
Okay, maybe in the future. I know I was surprised with one of them, the Tails Motors one.
Yep.
Because that's when I thought, this reminds me of something else. This logo.
It reminds you, yes.
Yeah. So there was stuff that was more infringy, as you said.
Yeah.
Even more.
But we we worked with marketing, we worked with legal, and we tried to figure out what's going to be okay and what's not.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Those I like the silly ones like Golden Facts.
Golden Facts. There was somebody on our team that didn't understand that reference. They didn't get it until like 2 weeks before we launched, and they were like, "Wow."
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that person needs to be fired right now.
Yeah. It just never clicked,
Yeah. I think many people who play the game, don't really get all the references. So, but that's cool. It's just for the Sega fanboys out there. I was talking to someone the other day, and the Virtua Biters one wasn't clicking in their heads either. And they know about Virtua Fighter, but I'm not getting this. Where's this from?
Right, like dentist, I don't get it.
Yeah. Okay, but that's a very cool little thing there for people. And as I said, it doesn't. I don't really mind watching an ad if I have that really nice Easter egg there before the ad. So it's cool.
Yeah,
it's a great idea.
Speaking of the ad, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, no, I was going to say the thing is as well that the ads are all opt-in, right? Like you can get through the game without watching any ads.
Oh, definitely.
It's just that you're going to go a lot faster if you do watch ads, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of people really were happy with how we do, right? That there are a lot of games that limit you if you don't watch ads, and it seems like the response is pretty positive.
Yeah, that was actually one of my questions as well. So was this? No, it's cool. Thank you for mentioning this. It's a good segue. Was this like something that you intentionally, try to do when you work on a mobile game? Try to, or is it easy to balance out things like this? So you need to include ads, but try not to mess the experience for the gamers. Is it hard to do?
I mean, we have to make money somehow, right? I mean, that's just like the way it works. But I think what we wanted to do was just make something good. Just make something that's fair and fun. And there were a lot of models out there of good systems, and there were a lot of models out there of bad systems. And we looked at those, and from our experience too, we realized, how can we make this? I mean, there was a lot of iteration on the design. It wasn't like day one we knew what we were going to do 100%. As we kept playing, we realized this is a good opportunity to not show an ad, to take it out of the game. This is a good opportunity to show an ad. And I think what we really wanted to give people was just a good experience and let them decide when and how they want to watch ads. And it actually worked out really good. Surprisingly, when you let people have the choice, maybe you'd be surprised that they watch more ads, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. I judging by my experience, I think, people end up watching more ads than if you have to even really force them to. If you force them to, they'll just, quit the game, delete the app, and bye.
I literally start the game up, watch an ad, double my money, and turn it off. I've never done that with any app or game ever. I'm like, this is compelling. I want to do this,
Yeah, if you start the game and you won like $300,000 trillion, want to double that? Yeah, sure,
that?
Why not?
Yeah. And then I'll turn it off and I'll go do what I'm doing. And I'll come back later and play for an hour or something, right? But I've never done that before. I've never volunteered watching an ad and then walked away,
Yeah. I have done that myself. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Okay, so James and Danny, we've been talking for a bit, so I think it's time we take a quick music break. Okay, when we come back, we have a couple more questions for you guys, and we have a surprise as well. So we always like to give surprise to our guests. So it's a good one, I think. Maybe not. Okay, so stay tuned. We will play one of your requests, one of your musical requests. James, you picked a few amazing tracks, I have to say. Good picks there, so we'll play one of them, or maybe a couple, and we'll be right back on the SEGA Lounge. So stay tuned. This is Radio Sega, and we'll be right back.
To be this good takes ages. To be this good takes Sega. Radio Sega, playing the best Sega music 24/7.
Okay, welcome back to the SEGA Lounge right here on Radio Sega. We're here with James Daniello and Danny Russell. Hello, guys. Welcome back.
Hey.
Hey. And so we have a surprise, as I said before. It's a surprise. It's aimed at James, but you know it's good to have a buddy to rely on in times of need. So maybe it's a good thing that Dan is here. But so it's something we like to call the SEGA Lounge Challenge. Okay, so when people come on the show, when we have guests on the show, we always have a challenge for people to go through. It's usually something really simple, or maybe not. I'm lying. And however, for you to get in the mood, we need to play the intro, okay? So I'm gonna play the SEGA Lounge Challenge intro.
Now, you know our guests. They're amazing. They're stars. But are they ready for the SEGA Lounge Challenge? It can be a quiz in reverse music. It can be anything we want. Welcome to your doom. I mean, welcome to the SEGA Lounge Challenge.
It's something nice, as the man said, so it can be anything we want. So this time we have in reverse music for you guys to guess. No, I'm just kidding. It's not that. It's a little crazy taxi related quiz. Okay? So, James, I have a few questions for you, and you can get help from the audience being Danny. But I need you guys to come up with one answer, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you the question, James, give you 3 different options, and then I'll ask Danny the same question, and you'll have the option of sticking with your answer or changing it to Danny's. Okay?
Okay.
Sounds good? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start. We have 5 questions. Not much. So, let's start with number 1. Which of the following SEGA studios developed the original Crazy Taxi? Option A, Smilebit. Option B, Hitmaker. Option C, AM2.
I will have to go with C, AM2.
Okay, so James says C, AM2. Danny, what do you think?
I'm going to say Hitmaker.
Hitmaker. Okay, and now James. So you have the option of sticking with C or changing your answer to B.
Okay, so I'm going from my recollection. And I remember playing games where AM2 displayed at the beginning of them, SEGA games.
Yeah.
Don't remember Hitmaker. I don't remember Smilebits, I think you said.
Smilebit, yeah.
Yeah, but I also do have a lot of faith in Danny.
Are you sure?
Are
you sure that that's a good idea?
I'm 50-50.
So your final answer is?
My final answer. I'm going with Hitmaker.
I'm going to feel bad if I'm wrong.
Oh, and your initial answer was AM2, right?
It was, yes.
And you changed it to Hitmaker.
I did.
And good thing that you did, because Hitmaker is the correct answer. Well done.
Yeah. God, I was really doubting myself for a second.
My faith in Dan was well founded.
Okay, very good. Good job. So one correct answer. Not bad. Let's go with question number 2. What was the name of the collection of mini games you could play in the Dreamcast version of Crazy Taxi? So the original Crazy Taxi. Option A, Crazy Box. Option B, Crazy Ball. Option C, Crazy Crate.
I'm gonna have to go. What?
Crazy Box, Crazy Ball, or Crazy Crate?
Yeah, I was already talking about Crazy Pyramid. I know that that's in Crazy Taxi 2. And Crazy Box is what I'm pretty sure was in the first one.
So your answer is Crazy Box. Okay.
That's correct.
What about you, Danny?
I concur.
You concur. That's not really helpful.
Yes.
That's not really helpful.
Well, I'm all for Crazy Box.
What if you're both wrong?
I'm going with Danny again on this one.
You're going to
But
Okay.
I'm going yes.
Okay, so... And that's correct! Obviously, yes, it's Crazy Box. It's Crazy Box. Yeah, it's not Crazy Pyramid. When you mentioned Crazy Pyramid, I was like, ooh. I hope he doesn't mention Crazy Box, because that's one of the questions.
One of the ones I didn't get to play much of was Crazy Taxi 3. I don't know if you guys have.
Same here. Haven't played that ever.
Yeah, I wonder if that had one too, and it probably was different. It was like Crazy Tetrahedron or something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I think you could unlock like the Crazy Taxi 1 and Crazy Taxi 2 characters in Crazy Taxi 3, but I don't know if there was a special mode.
You had all the maps, right? You had the Crazy Taxi San Francisco map, the New York map, and then you had the Las Vegas map as well.
Yeah, that was a new one.
Yeah, with the crazy jump from the second game as well. So you could play the original game with the crazy jump that you didn't have in Crazy Taxi 1.
I know there was mini games though in that one too, because I've seen a video of a Crazy Taxi game where you chase a tornado or something, and cars are just raining out of the sky. Have you guys seen that? So that there had to also be some sort of mini game, something.
Isn't that
There's
a Chinese
cool
bootleg version?
Sorry, there's a cool version on PSP. I think it was called Bear Wheels, which like combines Crazy Taxi 1 and 2, but it also has a simultaneous multiplayer mode.
Yep.
Which I don't think was in any other version.
What was this one
I don't
called?
think it had the original music.
Fair Wars.
Huh.
Crazy Taxi Fair Wars, yeah. And a Crazy Taxi 3 had the Crazy X. Okay, so that's
Crazy
the minigame
X.
collection, Crazy X.
Yeah. It was on Xbox, so everything had to be
Makes sense.
Made sense. It had 4 tiers. Tier 1 had 12 challenges, Tier 2 10 challenges, Tier 3 had 2, and Tier 4 had 1 final challenge. Thanks, Internet. Okay. So that's a bit of trivia out of the way. So hopefully none of the next questions are about Crazy Taxi 3, because I already gave you the answers. So no. Question number 3. Ready?
Yep.
No, you're not. In the original releases of Crazy Taxi, you can find real-world businesses. Which of the following cannot be found in the original game? So which of the following cannot be found in the game? Option A, Nike. Option B, Pizza Hut. Option C, Tower Records.
I do know Tower Records was in there. I remember KFC, I believe. I think Pizza Hut was probably in there too. I don't think Nike was in there. I'm going to go with A, Nike.
Okay. Danny,
Yeah, I agree.
are you sure?
Definitely not Nike. Yeah,
Sure. You're like positive.
I'm very sure.
So final answer, James. A?
That's correct.
So not like Pizza Hut? You remember KFC, so
Yeah.
maybe this is like a trick question?
I know you're making me doubt myself. That makes me think that I got the right answer.
And you did, yes. It's option A. Nike wasn't there, no. Pizza Hut was. There's a one of the push notifications for Gazillionaire actually mentions Pizza Hut, I think, right? Is that it? Is that or is it
Crazy Taxi Classic?
Is it Crazy Taxi Classic? Oh, maybe.
I think
Yeah.
it's Crazy Taxi Classic because this is why I'm quite familiar with them, because I wrote the classic notification.
Okay.
And I wanted to put in some because we removed all the licenses.
Exactly.
For whatever legal reasons, so I wanted to put in an Easter egg that was kind of making fun of.
It's like take me to pizza. To that pizza place, right? That's a funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
Crazy Taxi spirit.
Exactly. Very good. So, 3 out of 5, which means you already won. You got most of them right. But let's see if you can get a perfect score. So, question number 4. While the first game's map was heavily influenced by San Francisco, what city was the map of Crazy Taxi 2 based on? Option A. I'm not going to give you any options. Come on.
Oh.
Come on.
Okay, I mean, I'm pretty sure I know this. We drew heavily from Crazy Taxi, and the 3 areas we drew from were San Francisco, New York, Vegas, and I'm fairly certain the third one took place in Vegas, right? And so the second one would have to be New York, even though as I play it, I don't remember looking or feeling it.
Okay.
Yep.
So you say New York. Yeah.
Okay, can we hear the options?
Okay, so option A, Las Vegas. Option B, Washington, D.C. Option C, New York City.
Interesting you didn't go with Vegas, San Francisco, and New York, but...
San Francisco was in the question, so I already said, so yeah. Had to go with another one. So...
Well, definitely, yep.
Definitely...
New York.
New York, yeah? Danny, New York?
Yep.
Not D.C.?
No,
not DC.
Not getting me confused. New York.
And it's correct. New York City, obviously, is the correct answer.
DC would probably be pretty cool for Crazy Taxi.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
A lot of monuments. Yeah.
Exactly. That's why I thought of DC. Okay, so last question. This is interesting. I'm not sure. This, I think, is a bit hard. Let's see. So, in Sonic Colors... And you're asking Sonic Colors, but what's that got to do with Crazy Taxi? In Sonic Colors, Dr. Eggman announces a yellow car is about to get smashed by an asteroid. He then refers one of the original Crazy Taxi license plates. Did you know this? The question is, which one? So, is it Axel's 1NOM155? Meaning I know miss? Is it Biddy Joe's 2Hop260, so 2Hop2Go? Or is it Gina's 5EXY515, Sexy Sis? So, is it Axel's, Biddy Joe's, or Gina's that Dr. Eggman mentions in his PA announcement in Sonic Colors? So option A, Axel's, I know miss. Option B, BD Joe's, 2Hop2Go. Option C, Gina's, Sexy Sis.
I mean,
James.
I don't know. I haven't played this. But I can make a best guess. I mean, I could see Axel's because it's the first character and maybe the one that most people are familiar with. I could see Beanie Joe's or Gina's because they wanted to, not be so obvious with it.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
gonna give you a hint, okay? So it's one of these options. That's my hint.
Oh, thank you. Okay, that's perfect. I would lean towards BD Joe's more. Like, I can't remember. This is from a cutscene in Sonic Colors.
During the game, when you're playing in
the game?
all the levels, you can hear Dr. Eggman,
I see.
announcing
Like,
stuff.
in the background.
Yeah. So it's like a PA announcer. So
It's just, I feel like it would be BD Joe more just because he's had more just general appearances in Sega series, like in Sonic,
the All-Stars Racing,
Sonic, All-Stars Racing series. So I feel like he has a closer connection, but it's like, it's like Axel, kind of the main character, right? I don't know. I would lean more towards BD Joe.
Okay.
But this is
So you'd say
a hard
B,
question.
right?
My God.
And this is over like a PA system, so there's no visuals or anything. He's just saying it.
Exactly.
So he says the license plate. So can you read them again?
So Axel's is 1NOM155, meaning I know miss.
Yeah.
BD Joe's is 2HOP260 or 260, 2hop to go. And Gina's is 5EXY515, sexy sis.
I feel like it wouldn't be Gina's just because, like, Sonic Team wouldn't even approve the word sexy, maybe. But,
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think
You don't really say sexy, he just says 5EXY. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll also eliminate that one. Yeah.
Okay. So
And if he's gonna say it over a PA, he wants, they're still gonna want the jokes to connect.
mhm.
And when you read them out loud, I feel like maybe BD Joe's does connect better.
So your answer
You kind
is?
of piece it together in your head. I'm gonna go with BD Joe.
Okay. So,
No.
and Danny, BD Joe?
Yeah, I'm going to stick BD Joe just because of the Sonic link.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. But is it right?
I don't know.
So the correct answer is option A, Axel. Yes, it is.
No.
Yes, 1NOM155. I actually think that rolls a bit better off your tongue. So that's
Yeah.
I think so.
Would the owner of a yellow car, license plate 1NOM155, please report to the main gate? Your vehicle is in the path of an asteroid, and it's about to get smashed. Never mind.
But yeah, I agree with Danny's reasoning there. BD Joe is, I think, a bit more popular because that's what the character they include in All Stars Racing and everything. So yeah, that would make a bit more sense. But it's Axel's, yes. So it's a nice little Easter egg there for Crazy Taxi fans in Sonic colors.
4 out of 5 ain't bad, right?
It's not bad. It's amazing. It's
That
amazing.
was a tough question. I accept it.
Yeah, but you did very good. 4 out of 5 is amazing. And so it's my pleasure to present you with the SEGA Lounge seal of approval, which I will send to you via Skype, because that's where we're doing this. And
Yes.
there you go. The seal of approval, still freaking everyone out with the thumbs there. So well done, James and Danny. So we're almost done with the interview. Thank you so much for coming. But let me just ask you, are there any plans for future updates to Crazy Taxi Gazillionaire, new content coming up, or something like that you can share with all our listeners?
I don't have the approval probably to be the guy that makes those announcements. If that makes sense. But I will say we launched it. People liked it, right? So from there we get to make our decision, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
What I'll say is that we're always interested to hear what ideas the community has, and if anyone would like to send their ideas for Crazy Taxi Gazillionaire to community@sega.net, I will be listening and I will pass it on to the team at Demiurge.
Okay, there you have it. community@sega.net, right?
That's right.
Okay. Write that
Hey,
down,
we've already
people.
I was gonna say we've already got a new location picked out, right?
Ooh,
No, I'm
spoilers.
saying yours.
Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna email Danny with Washington, D.C. Just all caps, Washington, D.C.
And I'll forward it right on to James.
Okay, very good. So yeah, James, Danny, anything you'd like to say to the fans listening in, to people who, maybe first to people who haven't yet decided to download Crazy Taxi Gazillionaire? Apart from what are you waiting for?
Yeah. I think what's interesting is I showed the game to a lot of my friends who liked Sega and liked Crazy Taxi growing up, but who'd never actually played mobile games. And I think it was a big departure for them from the Crazy Taxi universe that they're familiar with. But they got insanely addicted. And to me, that was, I think, a really good sign.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I'd like to also say that I'm sure that there are a lot of Crazy Taxi fans out there who are a bit unsure about trying this out. But I think if you actually give it a go, like just give it, 5-10 minutes, and I think you'll be impressed with the attention to detail that's gone into the game and just how much of the original spirit is there. And I think you'll be won round pretty quickly. So just, if you haven't had a chance to play it yet, just give it a go and see what you think.
Okay. Wise words there.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, one of the big risks was we knew we were making something different, right? And so we were all very eager to kind of see how it turned out. And I think we were kind of amazed by how receptive and open-minded a lot of people were. I think overall we got a pretty good response from it. And I think that speaks to the team. I think the team did a really good job. I'm really proud of what everybody put into the game, and I think a lot of people liked it.
Awesome, yeah. And so, any final words for the fans, people that have been playing the game and have been enjoying it? Maybe expect Washington DC to be added soon.
Yeah, keep your ears open for Washington DC level. Yeah.
I'll just say, go make some crazy money.
Hey. Okay. Yeah. So so Washington DC coming soon to Crazy Taxi Gazillionaire. You heard it here first, exclusively on Radio Sega. So
too late to go back now.
Too late to go back now. It's written in stone right now. So you'll be able to jump on the rooftop of the White House and everything. So that's nice. Maybe not a good idea for security reasons. Yeah. So James, thank you so much for coming on the show. All the best for Crazy Taxi and future endeavors and whatnot. So if you ever decide to add Washington DC, you need to come back on the show and tell us about that. Danny, thank you so much as well for coming on the Sega Lounge. And
you're welcome.
You really need to come back soon, right? To discuss Sega Forever.
Yeah, I sense that you might have a lot of questions for me, so I will be back.
Okay, I'll be back. Good. Although I will say this, you're doing a great job in the PR side of things. So yeah, I've said this before, so I'll say it again. And we'll definitely have you back on the Sega Lounge soon to talk about stuff and things and whatnot. Okay, cool. So thank you guys both for coming on the show. We'll keep going with Sega Lounge, so stay tuned. We have more music. Then we have this week's Memories of Sega, and we'll come back with the After Hours segment right here on Radio Sega. Stay tuned. We play the best Sega music 24/7.
Every week a different guest, Sega music, news, and whatever else we can think of. The SEGA Lounge, only on Radio SEGA. From the 90s to the present, take a trip back in time with A Winner Was You, as he looks back at the SEGA games that defined his life. Memories of SEGA.
As far as debut titles go, you could certainly do a lot worse than Treasure. Made of former Konami employees, Treasure would go on to make such classic titles like Guardian Heroes, Dynamite Headdy and Radiant Silvergun, and you could tell right from their very first game that they were something special. I'm talking, of course, about Gunstar Heroes, a run and gun released on the Mega Drive in 1993. Playing like a slightly less unforgiving version of Contra, Gunstar Heroes had many of its own gimmicks, most notably the ability to combine weapons into something more powerful. It was fast-paced, hectic, and full of awesome special effects you would never have expected from a Mega Drive. Oh, and it has some of the most memorable bosses ever as well, in particular the mighty Seven Force, a behemoth with, you guessed it, 7 forms. This is actually one of the most important games in my life, not only because it's so good, but for another very big reason which I'm about to talk about. I believe I first saw this game in an issue of Sega Power magazine, just a screenshot or two, but they looked pretty cool. A few months later I saw a review of the gaming machine Sega, and they were very impressed, giving the game a whopping 93%. The screenshots really caught my attention, it really looked absolutely amazing. The other reviews were a bit more mixed, but it was certainly one I was interested in. Sadly, I never saw the game in the wild, and I never had the chance to play it in my youth. We now move to the year 2000, where the only gaming I was doing was on my Dreamcast and PlayStation, and my Mega Drive was consigned to the attic of history. One Sunday, I went over to my friend's house to play some games on his PlayStation. His little brother had recently got a Mega Drive for, I believe, was his birthday, and amongst the games he had was a compilation cartridge which had Alex Kidd and the Enchanted Castle, Alter Beast, Flicky and Gunstar Heroes. As Gunstar was a game I wanted to have a crack at, I suggested to my friend we should give it a go in 2-player mode. He agreed and we started playing. I instantly fell in love. We got pretty far into the game, but we had to stop playing after a while, so we didn't beat it. As I made my way home that day, I thought back to the game. I now really wanted to own the game and see the end of it, but of course I no longer really had a Mega Drive. I then started to think of all the classic games I once had, and I really wanted to play those again as well. So, a few days later, I went into town and bought myself a new Mega Drive. It would be at this time where I would start to rebuild my collection, getting the games I once loved back, while hopefully getting to try out the ones I missed out back in the day. To this day, my collection keeps growing and is full of everything from the classics to the more obscure gems out there. As for Gunstar itself, I finally found the game back in 2004 in a newly opened branch of GameStation, where I found a copy of the same compilation pack that I had played with my friend a few years back. Of course, I snapped it right up. Finally, I was able to play through and beat the game, and I can only say I loved the ride. Gunstar Heroes may have only been Treasure's first game, but its quality immediately put them on the map. Quite rightly so, too. The pace of the game is amazing, with so much going on but with very little slowdown. It also has, in my opinion, one of the best minecart stages ever, and that's not just because that's where you face Seven Force. It's the whole direction of the entire stage that was just amazing to me, and that legendary boss was just the icing on the cake, really. It's also quite challenging, though not quite as brutal as your average Contra game, as I mentioned earlier. The final boss in particular did give me a bit of worries, and there were quite a few times where I defeated him, but only on my last sliver of life. It's a stellar achievement for the Mega Drive, and one the machine can be very proud of. It's without a doubt one of its finest titles, and the fact it was the sole reason I restarted my Mega Drive collection in the first place makes it a particularly special one to me.
Memories of SEGA.
what an awesome game Gunstar Heroes is, what a classic. So, and maybe that's one of those classics that are coming soon to Sega Forever, to the Sega Forever service on mobile devices. Who knows? So as you heard during the interview, we'll try to have Danny back on the show soon to talk about Sega Forever, and maybe answer some of your questions about the service as well. So stay tuned for that. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode of the Sega Lounge. I hope you guys enjoyed the interview, the crazy taxi-related Sega Lounge challenge as well. And I want to once again thank James Daniello of Demiurge Studios and Danny Russell from Sega for coming on the show and taking the time to chat with me on this subject of Crazy Taxi Gazillionaire. Don't forget you can now download Crazy Taxi Gazillionaire on both iOS and Android devices for free. So if you haven't checked it out yet, feel free to do it because it's a really interesting game to say the least. Okay, so thank you so much for listening to the Sega Lounge. Don't forget to check out our other live shows. You can go to radiose.ga/shows to check out our full lineup of live shows currently airing. Don't forget that next week we'll see the return of two other shows to our lineup of Radio Sega live shows. We'll have Last Call returning on Friday, and right after that, again on Friday, we'll have Chaos Control Center. So two returning shows for new seasons on Radio Sega coming next Friday, the 7th of July. So don't forget to check those out as well. We'll be back next week with another interview, so don't forget to check us out as well. Same time, same place, same station, Radio Sega, playing the best Sega music 24/7. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. Big thank you to Shaded for this week's news, and to A Winner Was You for his memories of Sega. And stay tuned, we have one more awesome track to play. This was yet another pick by James Daniello, and it's Sweet Soul Brother from the Jet Set Radio soundtrack. I've been KC, this has been the Sega Lounge. I'll see you all next week. Bye bye.
Sweet soul brother, sweet
Enjoyed the show? Check out the full Radio Sega live schedule at radiose.ga/shows. Radio Sega, playing the best Sega music 24/7.